So in the next two problems, they're exercises, and you should be completing them on your own. But just I want to note that we want to start with our given, and then we want to go from congruency, right? Because they're using congruent. They're saying the angle in the figure, right? They're saying the drawing in the figure is congruent with the angle in the figure, here and there. So we want to go from there to the measure of this angle is equal to the measure of that angle, and the measure of this angle is equal to the measure of that angle. And the way we do that is with the definition of congruence, right? So now we go to measure of the angle is equal to the measure of the angle, measure of angle is equal to measure of the angle. Now that we're here, we can go ahead and apply all of our algebraic properties to justify our steps, which get us to x is equal to 6, right? And so you can see here that once we have the measures are equal, then we can use the transitive property, right, to say that measure of fgj is equal to the measure of kgh. And now that we're here, right, we can substitute in our two expressions, do the math, and we get our x is equal to 6 using the symmetric property. So that's the trick here, right, is to start with our given, that the angle in the figure, the drawing, is congruent with the drawing. Then go to measures using definition of congruence. And once we're here, this one requires the vertical angles theorem, right? We learned about that a little while ago. And what is the vertical angles theorems are congruent? It's that if you have vertical angles like angle ASR and BST, these are vertical angles, they are congruent, right? And that means their measures are equal. So here we use that to say that angle 1 is congruent with angle BST, right, because of the vertical angles theorem. And we also say that angle 2 is congruent with angle 3 using the vertical angles theorem. Okay, and then lastly, we can go ahead and use the substitution property to state that the measures of both of them are equal, because now we're substituting in BST for ASR, and we're also substituting in our measure of STC for RTD in the last step, right? Right, the trick here is to first change the congruency into measures, and then use the theorems that we know to justify and prove what we're asked to prove.